So Krishna book, we're just finishing chapter 21, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Just the last few paragraphs, is it?
That's right. Yeah,
Sorry, just the last couple of paragraphs.
Starting during the autumn, the lotus flowers in the lakes grow in large numbers. That's where we should be.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I marked as well. Okay, so so I'm on a phone today, so it's not easy for me to jump between the chat window and the screen and stuff. So I mean, if we can all put our reading order in the chat box as usual, and I just take it for you all to pick up from the next reader when we ask to move on. Is that okay for everyone?
Yep.
Yeah, makes sense. So then I don't have to look for who's the next reader and say, oh, this person's next. Okay. So if you can all volunteer to read, that'd be really nice. Also, I'm a little bit limited because I can't see everyone's screen at the moment. So, our best. Okay, so let's sing the invocation prayer first of all. In my best singing voice. Krishna, 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 Krishna. Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 Krishna. Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 Krishna. Krishna, Krishna, Rakshamam. Krishna, 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 Krishna. Krishna, Krishna, Pahimam. Ram, Raghava, Ram, Raghava. Rama, Raghava, Rakshamam. Krishna, Keshava, Krishna, Keshava. Krishna, Keshava, Pahimam. All right, so we begin with the first reader. So we just finished the descriptions of autumn.
Nobody's put their names forward yet. Panchali has. Okay. I'll start.
Thank you, Prabhu.
There you go. During the autumn, the lotus flowers in the lakes grow in large numbers because of the absence of lilies. Both the lilies and the lotus flowers grow by sunshine, but during the autumn season, the scorching sunshine helps only the lotus. This example is compared to a country where the king or the government is strong. The unwanted elements like thieves and robbers cannot prosper. When the citizens become confident that they will not be attacked by robbers, they develop with great satisfaction. A strong government is compared to the scorching sunshine in the autumn season. The lilies are compared to unwanted persons like robbers, and the lotus flowers are compared to the satisfied citizens. During autumn, the fields become filled with ripened grain. At that time, the people become happy over the harvest and observe various ceremonies, such as Navana, the offering of new grain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The new grain is first offered to the deities at various temples, and all are invited to take sweet rice made with the new grain. There are other religions, ceremonies, and methods of worship, particularly in Bengal, where the greatest of all such ceremonies held is called Durga Puja. Shall I continue?
Yes, please, Prabhu.
Okay. Yeah, it's only last paragraph now. In Vrindavan, the autumn season was very beautiful. Then, because of the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna and Balram, the mercantile community, the royal order, and great sages were free to move about in order to achieve their desired benedictions. Similarly, the transcendentalists, when freed from the engagement of the material body, also achieve their desired goal. During the rainy season, the mercantile community cannot move from one place to another, so do not get their desired profit. Nor can the royal order go from one place to another to collect taxes from the people. As for the saintly persons who must travel to preach transcendental knowledge, they are also restrained by the rainy season, but during the autumn, all of them leave their confines. In the case of the transcendentalists, be he a jnani, a yogi, or a devotee. Because of the material body, he cannot actually enjoy spiritual achievement. But as soon as he gives up the body or after death, the jnani merges into the spiritual effulgence of the Supreme Lord. The yogi transfers himself to the various higher planets, and the devotee goes to the planet of the Supreme Lord, Goloka, Vrindavan, or one of the Vaikunthas. Thus enjoys his eternal spiritual life. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of 20th chapter of Krishna, description of autumn.
That's a beautiful ending. And thus enjoys his eternal spiritual life. So we've been reading this chapter for I think around 4 weeks now, or this is maybe touching on the 4th week. So this chapter is rather philosophical in nature, rather than focusing so much on the leelas of Krishna. It gives us ways in which we can understand the teachings of Krishna consciousness through nature. And there's 2 examples we read, one in each of the paragraphs. So the first one is related to the scorching sunshine, the lilies, and the lotus flowers. Okay. So would someone like to comment on what these 3 items are compared to?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
It's comparing the king or the government of the country.
Yes, to the scorching sunshine. Yeah, that's right. So the government is like a strong government is compared to the scorching sunshine in the autumn season. And of course, autumns in India, they have 6 seasons. So what we consider autumn is a bit different to what is autumn in India. In India, they have what's called a monsoon, which is probably a bit more like our autumn, really, except for the heat. So this in India, the autumn is more like what comes after the monsoon. So I guess you could call it. It's more like the harvest season, you know. So this is what's being described here. So this scorching sun comes after the rainy season. Yeah, and so that's like a good government. Because what does the scorching sunshine provide to? So what is the rest of the analogy here, without giving too much away? So we have the government, which is like the sunshine.
So the thieves and the robbers cannot prosper. The citizens feel safe by not being attacked by robbers.
That's right. So those are the other 2 elements. So the lilies are like robbers and thieves, and the lotus flower is like the satisfied citizens. So it's explained in this paragraph that when there's a scorching sun, then it benefits these particular lotus flowers. Of course, here in England, we don't have much experience of what lotus flowers grow like. But it's explained here that the lotus flowers, they thrive on the sunshine. When there's a very hot sunshine, they thrive. So just like that, when there's good government, the citizens thrive. Whereas on the other hand, the hot sun isn't very good for the lilies. So the lilies are like robbers who wither away with the heat. So like that, the criminals and they can't attack because of good government. Yeah. And actually, in the Vedic
Also,
times, yes, Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
yeah, Hare Krishna. Also, it says here, strong government, not just a government,
Yes,
because that also makes sense, isn't it?
yes, Prabhu.
Okay, in other words, you can say good government, strong government means, because if sometimes government is not good enough, or if they run the place a selfish way,
Mm. Yeah, that's right. So, what actually is a good government or a strong government? So, for those who are listening to the Srimad Bhagavatam series at the moment in our other group, you may have heard that the story of King Parikshit, who is you can say is like one of the last kings in the lineage of the Pandavas of the Kuru dynasty. He was the last good king, so there's a lot of description about what good government means in those sections of the Bhagavatam. And it said that even if someone was to fall ill, the government was so good back then that there wouldn't be such diseases like we have this coronavirus. There wouldn't be these kind of pandemics. That if someone was to fall so ill, they could actually go to the government and make a complaint. They could make a complaint directly to the government that this illness is affecting me. Many things like that. So any maladies in life, the government should be able to take care of. And we can see in the modern day government, it's not even possible, to manage. They're not able to manage so many things.
And
So,
when government is good, they listen to citizens, because otherwise they just ignore.
yeah, and specifically, they take advice from the scriptures, from the Brahmanas.
Yeah.
Yeah, they take advice from the Brahmanas because the Brahmanas, they know the scriptures, and although the Brahmanas, they don't govern, they are more an
No.
advisory role.
Yeah.
So in the traditional times, there was this kind of dual leadership, like even in this country, in previous times, or in Europe, the church and the state work together. So that's also the Vedic system, that the religion and the state works together. So the religion provides the guidance, and the state provides the administration of that guidance. But in the modern times, the government decide things for themselves. And so we can see like a lot of the problems that come about with that type of governance.
Yeah.
Any
You can
questions?
see. You can see America is so-called, called very advanced, but what's happening there now?
Yeah, it's a big topic actually. We could say a lot about these things.
Yeah,
Just one example will be like the last year, the riots, Black Lives Matter. It wasn't even criminals who were attacking. It was the government, the government officers, the police themselves, who were
that's
attacking
right.
the innocent people.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to be said. But so, is there any questions or anything? Any questions at this point before we move on to the next one? Sorry if I can't see all the screens, so feel free to speak up. I'm just on my mobile phone today. Okay. Okay, so this was the first example. Did it make sense to everyone? Yeah? No? Analogy, yeah? I'm not sure, feel free to ask. Okay, so the next analogy was about let's see. So the next analogy was about how the seasons change. Yeah. So when the seasons change from what we call the monsoon season to monsoon to autumn, it's understood that in the monsoon season, people wouldn't generally go about because it's such heavy rain. So it's said that the first example is that transcendentalists, they wouldn't move about. So saintly people, they wouldn't move from home to home giving knowledge because of the rain. They would generally stay in one place. The royal order, they wouldn't move about to collect taxes because of the heavy rain. The mercantile community, so the people who were traders, they wouldn't move about to make profit because of the heavy rain. So everyone was pretty much locked down because of the heavy rain. Okay. And what's that comparison made against? Does anyone know from this text? So the inability to move around because of heavy rain. I see some of you eagerly seeking out the answers there. Some of you are blankly looking into the screen. Maybe you're looking on you're reading online. I don't know.
Reading online, Prabhuji. Mine is on the screen.
I'm not picking out anyone in particular. I'm just saying in general.
General.
I'm just looking into the screen blankly myself. So I'll give you a clue. The sentence begins with similarly, as many analogies and examples do. Similarly.
The transcendentalists, when freed from the engagement.
Engagement, yeah.
Yeah, so they are no longer bound by the material desires or the material.
Did everyone catch that? So the sentence is similarly the transcendentalist, when freed from the engagement of material bodies, also achieve their desired goal. So this lockdown situation that different communities face through the rainy season are compared to the being locked into a material body, the soul being locked into a material body. So we can understand from Krishna consciousness that we're not our body, we're not our mind, but we are in fact the living soul. And while the body changes, the mind changes, the soul, the self stays eternally the same. So actually then, what does that mean that the body is? It means that the body is like an entrapment for the soul, like a prison for the soul. Yeah, because with this body we can't achieve actually our spiritual desires. Okay. So the idea of bhakti yoga is that one should have that desire to serve Krishna, how do you say, unflinchingly, or without any stoppage, without any break. Yeah, ananya bhakti. It means that it should just go on and on and on serving Krishna. But having a material body means we have to spend so much time and energy in looking after our body that we can't just go on and on and on serving Krishna. Yeah. And another way is that it should be devotional service, pure bhakti. It's not only unbreaking, but it's also desireless, without any desire for the self. You know, it shouldn't be selfish in any way. It should be completely selfless love. So having a material body is an impediment in that also. So can we think of any examples in which our material body inhibits us or prohibits us from performing this kind of bhakti, this pure bhakti? Can anyone think of any examples?
Can
Our
you
body.
say the question in again, please, Prabhuji? So material
Okay.
body stopping us from doing pure bhakti.
Yeah, so the body is considered as a limitation to our bhakti because we can't perform bhakti without any stoppage. You know, we have to stop to take care of the body. And also we can't perform it without any, with pure spiritual desire, just selflessly, because we have to take care of the body again. So what examples can you think fall within those realms of stopping our bhakti, or, you know, not being pure in our desires to Krishna, or to serve Krishna selflessly?
So engagement in or entangled in material relationships or material desires. So if you have a family, you might have obligations towards your family, and that might sometimes make you less or give you less time to perform your bhakti. Unless you are a transcendentalist, and then in whatever you are doing, whether it's with your family or in your day-to-day lives, unless you think of Krishna all the time, there is the danger of forgetting Krishna and your material desires or your material body being a limitation to your bhakti. So
Yeah, so
whether it's
generally,
eating, working, you know, taking care of family members or children, or so there's always the danger of slipping into not remembering Krishna at all times, especially during times of emergencies. You tend to think of other things. You would call 999 sometimes rather than calling Krishna. Or do you think of Krishna? So that's the question to ask us. How strong is our bhakti?
yeah, you raised many points. So yeah, and in a general kind of family life, there's the aspect of taking care of others, providing for others, and so on. And things come up, you know, emergencies come up where we have to be involved, we have to deal with things. Yeah. So all these things are like impediments in bhakti in one sense, and that we're not simply thinking of Krishna, if we're not, like you say, transcendental to all of that. Okay, can anyone give like a simple example of, like, you know, a day-to-day activity?
Even in a previous paragraph,
Yes,
it's
Prabhu?
very interesting. The new grains are first offered to the deities in the various temples. So this applies to farmers, isn't it?
Okay. Yes, that's right. So that's why the autumn
And
season is like a harvest. Yeah, that's right.
And that is also bhakti.
Yeah, so they're actually using that time of year as you know, as a festival, isn't it, Prabhu? Making offering, Navana. Yeah, well spotted.
Yeah.
Okay, so does anyone else have any thoughts or questions on this?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
I have
Krishna.
I have a question. I don't understand the difference in a way between a jnani who emerges into the spiritual effulgence of the Supreme Lord,
Hmm.
or the devotee that goes to the planet of the Supreme Lord. There's two.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So there's 3 categories here of transcendentalists. There's 3 types of people who want to transcend this world. Transcend means to go above material nature. So there's 3 destinations you have above material nature. Okay. So one, and that depends on the type of, or the depth, or the distance you've gone in your spiritual practice, you can say. So sometimes Bhagavad Gita is compared to a yoga ladder. Okay. Imagine a ladder which has got many steps. You can imagine a ladder has many steps on it. Yes. So these different yoga systems, Krishna says, are like different steps on the ladder. Okay. Particularly in the 9th chapter, Krishna explains this. He says, so on one level there's the jnani. Yeah. So someone who stops their level of transcendence at gyan, or simply they reach spiritual understanding. Yeah. They don't know who is Krishna actually. Many classes of spiritualists who just want to merge into the light. You know, that's as far as their spiritual understanding goes. Yeah. And then one step further is a yogi. Further than the jnani is the yogi, who not just wants to merge into the light, but actually sees that the Lord is in the heart. Paramatma. They have Paramatma, realization of Paramatma. And they desire to be with that Paramatma always. So Krishna takes them to the higher planets, as it said here. Yeah. So in Vaikuntha, you can see that form of the Paramatma as Narayan. He's got 4 arms, and they live in that place, and they meditate on him always. And then you have the devotees, who is the highest rung of this yoga ladder, as explained in Bhagavad Gita. And the devotees, they don't just have that spiritual knowledge. More than that, they don't just want to meditate on the Lord, but actually they want to practically be with the Lord and serve the Lord in a loving relationship, in an intimate exchange of love with the Lord. So that's called bhakti. Is that more clear?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And so there's certain impediments, as we were saying earlier, with having a material body, because we have to take care of the bodily functions. You know, we have to eat, we have to sleep, we have to go to the bathroom, we have to shower, all the different things you have to do for the body. We have to work hard all day to, maintain the house, to maintain the car, to shop, to do this and that, pay the bills. So a lot of our portion of our day is spent, when we think about it, is basically spent just looking after our body. All these different things that we have around us, and all these activities we do, are just simply to look after the body. So the transcendentalists, any one of these transcendentalists, they see this body as being like a cage, because it just locks us away from Krishna. It locks us away from performing ananya bhakti, or unceasing bhakti, unceasing devotion. Because there's so many things we have to take care of in life. Is that okay?
Can I ask a question, please?
So Panchali gave some nice examples of that earlier. Okay. So this is the end of this chapter, descriptions of autumn. And this chapter has given us a lot of philosophy, a lot of thought, before we move on to the next chapter, which in nature is very poetic and is full of beautiful descriptions of Krishna from the mouths of the gopis, who are considered the highest devotees of Krishna. So it's necessary to understand so much of this philosophy of Krishna consciousness, which we've been reading carefully over the last few weeks, so that we can come to a clear and proper understanding of who the gopis are, of who Krishna and the gopas are, because they're not ordinary boys and girls playing in the fields of Vrindavan. Actually, they are the greatest devotees of Krishna, the gopis, and their attraction to Krishna is considered the best. And so it should be understood that their activities are not material activities. They actually have this spiritual yearning for Krishna. And so this is what we're going to read about, their meditation, or their explanation as they see Krishna playing the flute. So who's going to be our next reader?
It'd be Panchali.
Panchali, okay. So it'd be nice if we could have some more readers as well. So feel free to list your name for
Your
reading.
dad next after that.
Okay. Okay, so Panchali, would you like to start us on chapter 21?
Yeah. So chapter 21, the gopis attracted by the flute. With the arrival of the beautiful autumn season, the waters in the lakes and rivers became as clear as crystal and filled with fragrant lotus flowers, and breezes blew very pleasantly. At that time, Krishna entered the forest of Vrindavan with the cows and cowherd boys. Krishna was very much pleased with the atmosphere of the forest, where flowers bloomed and bees and drones hummed very jubilantly. While the birds, trees, and plants were all looking very happy, Krishna, tending the cows and accompanied by Sri Balarama and the cowherd boys, began to vibrate his transcendental flute. After hearing the vibration of the flute of Krishna, the gopis in Vrindavan remembered him and began to talk amongst themselves about how nicely Krishna was playing his flute. When the gopis were describing the sweet vibration of Krishna's flute, they also remembered their pastimes with him. Thus, their minds became very disturbed, and they were unable to describe completely the beautiful vibration. While discussing the transcendental vibration, they remembered also how Krishna dressed, decorated with a peacock feather on his head, just like a dancing actor, and with blue flowers pushed over his ear. His garment glowed yellow gold, and he was garlanded with a Vaijayanti necklace. Dressed in such an attractive way, Krishna filled up the holes of his flute with the nectar emanating from his lips. So they remembered him entering the forest of Vrindavan, which is always glorified by the footprints of Krishna and his companions.
Wonderful, thank you. So there's many points to discuss in each of these paragraphs. So perhaps we could start with comments from you all and questions, and then I can take it in the direction depending on how you want to bring points up from the paragraph. So just beginning from the top of the paragraph and moving down, could you pick out anything you wanted to discuss in particular? So what is the scene at the moment that we're reading about or witnessing?
Are we witnessing the remembrance and the remembrance of the gopis about their pastimes in the past and what is currently happening at the same time?
Yeah, so there's a particular scene being set at the moment, which is reminding them of Krishna. That's right. So what is that? What is happening in that scene which is reminding them of Krishna? So where is Krishna going? Let's say. And where are the gopis in this scene?
So they remembered Krishna playing the flute, and they also remembered how Krishna looked, how he dressed. So they remembered
Just before
Krishna's.
that. So where are they right now, and what's actually happening, so that that's causing them to remember Krishna. Just starting from the beginning of the paragraph, just to set the scene. As it's
The forest of Vrindavan.
yeah, just actually before that. So the scene here. Does anyone know what the scene is? Before I reveal.
Autumn season.
The autumn season. Oh, is it during the Ras Leela time? I could be wrong.
No, that's not it. Good guess. Anyone else?
I think it's the autumn season, and the fragrant flowers and breezes blew very pleasantly. Krishna's going to attend he's going to take the cows,
That's it. Yeah.
and Gopi remembers Krishna while he's going away while he's taking the cows.
That's it. Yeah. So it says in the what is it? The second sentence, I guess. So it says in the second sentence here that this is the time when Krishna is going from the village, and he's coming out towards he's heading out towards the forest. Okay. So this is the actual scene. It's important to know this as the descriptions go on. So the gopis, they see Krishna in the morning as he is leaving the village of Vrindavan, and he's heading out into the countryside, the forest. So that's the scene in which they're seeing Krishna. Yeah. And so he's taking the cows with him, and the boys are all running along with him. Yeah. And what's Krishna doing in this moment?
He's playing his flute.
Yeah, it wasn't a trick question. Yeah, he's playing his flute. I think your voice is echoing, Mom, because you and Dad are both on your screens at the same time. Yeah, so Krishna's playing his flute. So when Krishna leaves Vrindavan in the morning to herd the cows, to take them to the pasture grounds, this is the time when all of the residents of Vrindavan, they come out of their homes and they come to see Krishna at the beginning of the day. Okay, so this is significant, and they come to hear him playing the flute as everyone's jumping and dancing on their way out to the forest. As in the boys are jumping and dancing on the way out of the forest. Okay, so this is the scene which the gopis are witnessing, and they begin to talk amongst themselves, as it said here, and they're remembering different parts of Krishna's pastimes. Yeah. Okay. So there's really wonderful descriptions here, just about how Krishna looks as well as he's walking out. So how does Krishna look? There's one word that's mentioned here about how Krishna looks. He looks like an
dancing actor.
Yeah, that's right. Krishna looks like a dancing actor. This is how Krishna looks. So you can imagine when you go to see a show in the theater how it is, right? How the actors are dressed, how the performers are dressed. Yeah, wonderful, elaborate costumes. Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah.
So even like the paupers, you see a pauper in the play. Even they have to spend hours in the makeup room, and right. So, what to speak of Krishna, he's here like a dancing actor. Yeah, so he looks fully decked every day. This is just like normal for Krishna. But that's the description, that Krishna actually looks stunning every day. Yeah.
Mm.
And then there's further descriptions of how that is, about his dress and what he's holding, and his ornaments and things like that. And he's playing the flute so wonderfully as well.
It says here he was garlanded with a Vijayanti necklace. Is that
Yeah.
a form of a flower?
That's right, yeah. A Vajayanti Mala. So that's yeah, that's actually the necklace which Krishna always wears. Yeah.
Okay.
So even Lord Vishnu, he has this specific garland, specific necklace, which is a Vajayanti. So this is one of the things that distinguishes Krishna from everyone else in Vrindavan. Apart from all of his wonderful feats, Krishna just is exceptionally beautiful. He has exceptionally beautiful garlands and so on. All right. Do you want to read one more paragraph, please, Panchali?
Before we go ahead,
Yes, Prabhu.
one is mentioned here about the holes of the flute.
Oh, yes.
That's quite
Okay.
interesting. It says Krishna filled up the holes of his fruit with the nectar emanating from his lips.
Yeah, that's a beautiful description Prabhu you picked up there. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that a wonderful description? So Krishna is not just breathing hot air into a
No.
flute. Huh? Krishna
And
has
when,
a spiritual transcendental body, isn't it?
and when you see the whole atmosphere, no one is unhappy. Everyone is happy.
Yeah, yeah. So that sound vibration which comes from Krishna's flute,
Yeah.
it just puts everyone into like an ecstatic trance. Huh? It's so wonderful. That nectar is actually like nectar coming from the holes of the flute. It's not like just, as we say, hot air, you know? So Krishna is breathing and it's coming out of the flute. He's blowing into the flute, and that sound which is being carried into the hearts, into the ears and the hearts of everyone, is enchanting everyone. Okay, so we can, Panchali, would you like to read the next paragraph? And everyone, just feel free to chip in if you have any comments as we go along. As I said, there's a lot of descriptions. So you can carry on, Panchali.
Krishna was very expert in playing the flute, and the gopis were captivated by the sound vibration, which was attractive not only to them, but to all living creatures who heard it. One of the gopis told her friends, the highest perfection of the eyes is to see Krishna and Balarama entering the forest and playing their flutes and tending the cows with their friends.
So one thing that occurred to me was that Krishna is quite young here still. So I think he's around 7 years old, because this is before the Govardhan Leela. So Krishna is around 7 or 8 at this time. He's only still a young boy. Okay. And what occurred to me is that actually Krishna is the best flute player. He's the most expert in everything, actually. And he never ever had, you never hear about Krishna having like a flute teacher, you know, having to go to flute lessons, flute practice. That's just not in the pastimes. Krishna just knows how to play the flute so excellently, huh? As it says here. That kind of occurred to me while we were reading.
I also found it interesting, Prabhuji. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but is this the first time that they're actually that it's actually been described that Balarama has a flute as well, or has it been described elsewhere as well earlier? So does that mean Balarama and all the cowherd boys, they all had flutes and not just Krishna?
Yes, that's right. So I don't know if it's the first time it's been mentioned, but certainly Balaram has a flute as well, and other boys as well. But in particular, Krishna is famous as Murali, Krishna, the flute player. Yeah, because the other boys also play bugles, yeah, and other things, and they have other instruments as well. Krishna also has a bugle as well, which is like a horn, which they blow, which is made from, it's like a buffalo horn kind of thing. So, but Krishna is especially known for playing the flute. And so this is the first comment which the gopis are making, if I'm not mistaken. They're describing how this is the highest perfection of the eyes. Yeah. So this is why it's important to know what's happening at this moment in time, because they're saying that according to the gopis, who are the highest devotees of Krishna, what they consider important, the perfection of the eyes, is that seeing Krishna and Balaram entering the forest, that is actually the perfection of the eyes. Yeah. And playing the flutes while they're looking after the cows. So what a wonderful sight this must be, if this is the perfection of the eyes, right? Okay, so unless there's any comments or questions, Panchali, would you like to continue reading? Yeah, okay.
Persons who are constantly engaged in the transcendental meditation of seeing Krishna internally and externally by thinking of him playing the flute, entering the Vrindavan forest, and tending the cows with the cowherd boys have really attained the perfection of samadhi. Samadhi, trance, means absorption of all the activities of the senses in a particular object, and the gopis indicate that the pastimes of Krishna are the perfection of all meditation and samadhi. It is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that anyone who is always absorbed in the thought of Krishna is the topmost of all yogis. Should I continue?
We'll just stop and discuss this paragraph as well. So there's some really key points made here as well about samadhi. So what is the meaning of samadhi according to this text?
When you're in a trance.
Okay, can you say a bit more?
That they're absorbed in all the activities of the senses.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absorption of all the activities of the senses in a particular object. Yeah. So when all of the senses together just become focused on a single thing, a single object. So, and how does that relate to what's happening in this scene? Anyone?
Is it because they're saying that I'm just going to say this, and I don't know if it's accurate, but it's the utilization of the eyes seeing the Lord coming across and hearing maybe I guess the flute playing, or the walking of his feet on the ground, maybe some other sounds, and maybe even they could smell his necklace. Maybe they can smell his necklace, and other senses. So
I can see Vimal here is entering into a sort of samadhi as he's like concentrating on this pastime.
yeah, just like they're trying. Well, I don't know if they're trying. I guess they're naturally able to do it. But if I wanted to concentrate on Krishna, I have to really see. Okay, he's got this necklace. He's smelling like this, and maybe I don't know, his feet are touching the earth, and he's walking, and maybe I could kind of imagine how that could feel like on my skin. Just all of my body and senses, just and on that. On all of him and what he's doing and everything around him.
Yeah. So that's exactly it. All of their senses, they're all just drawn to Krishna, They're just all drawn to Krishna. And so this is the scene as Krishna is leaving Vrindavan. Okay.
Also thinking about Krishna all the time, not like 1 second or 1 minute.
Yeah, that's right. So actually, there's a statement made that the gopis, it's understood that they only see Krishna in the morning when he's leaving to go to the forest, and then in the evening when he's returning from the forest. So there's only a couple of moments in the day where they actually see Krishna. So even they're considered the highest devotees of Krishna, they don't actually just hang out with him all day long, you know. They only see Krishna for a couple of moments in the day. But even those couple of moments, the acharyas, they explain that these couple of moments in the day are like millenniums for them. It just, you know, they're so enraptured in that experience that it's just like unending. They're so concentrated into it. You know, like when there's like I don't know, maybe sometimes you see it in the films or something, but you know, when they really want to focus on something in the films, they really put everything in slow motion, you know? But when we're really focused on something, we don't even know where time's going, isn't it? Time just goes. Like sometimes in this meeting, it's like, oh, it's already 9 o'clock. You know? I don't know if you have that experience. Or anything for that matter, you know? Time just goes. So for them, it's like that. Actually, it's like a whole age has gone in just the moment that Krishna is walking from this side of the town to that side, and they're watching him.
Yeah, gopis see Krishna only in the morning and in the evening. But then again, they're feeling separation during the day.
Yes, Prabhu. So this is the other aspect.
Yeah.
In their separation, even a moment seems like an age. Again, so Yugaitam Nimeshena said that even a moment, it seems like an age. So they're actually absorbing thought of Krishna the whole day long, as Prabhu said. And because of that, they're in like this, they're in this like, well, it's very difficult to describe, but they're in this space, they're in this kind of thought of Krishna, which is so intense through the whole day long until they see him again. It's like their hearts are burning to see Krishna again when he returns. This is the nature of the love of the gopis.
Prabhuji, can I ask a question, please?
Okay.
So I don't know if this is a question, a tangent or not, but in terms of the cowherd boys always with Krishna, and the gopis see Krishna only a little time during the day, but in terms of the relationship that they have, and in terms of the rasas in which they are engaged in with Krishna, is the cowherd boys still in the friendship rasa, and the gopis in the highest form? Is it Madhur here? I can't remember now. So, but the gopas or the cowherd boys were equally very close to Krishna. So why do they remain as just friends and not reach the state of the gopis, or or how the Krishna felt about the gopis and his relationship with the gopis? So where was what was lacking in the cowherd boys? Because Krishna, they were very dear to Krishna as well. I don't know if this is a question at random or not, or if this is related at all.
That's a fair question. So thank you for asking. So so we should first understand on the spiritual platform, everything is transcendentally perfect. Every relationship with Krishna is perfect. So it's very important to first understand that everyone has a perfect relationship with Krishna. There's no imperfection in any relationship with Krishna. There's none of them are feeling like lacking. Okay. There's no feeling that, you know, the gopis don't think, oh, I wish I was a gopa. And the gopas don't think, oh, I wish I was a gopi. It's not like that, you know. So everyone feels complete and, you know, fully nourished because of the relationship they have with Krishna. That's the nature of spiritual relationships. Because otherwise there's no meaning to perfection in each one of those relationships. But the humor or the taste or the experience is different. Yeah. So the gopis and the form that they have is a spiritual form. This female form of a gopi, the form of a coward girl. They have a particular taste in that experience of being in that form. And the boys, they have a form of a boy, a gopa, a coward boy. They have a particular taste and experience of being in that form. Yeah. So it's just a different taste, right? Like one person likes vanilla ice cream, another person likes strawberry ice cream, another person likes mango ice cream, right? They're all ice cream, just a different taste. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I understand. Thank you.
So where were we? Yeah, so samadhi. So this is the description of the samadhi that that everyone's senses are focused on Krishna at this point in time as he's leaving the forest. All right, so who's the next reader now? Next reader can begin, unless there's any comments or questions. Sorry, you can just start because I can't see the chat window on my phone.
Yes, it's me. Sorry, yeah. Another gopi expressed. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Another gopi expressed her opinion that Krishna and Balarama, while tending the cows, appear just like actors going to play on a dramatic stage. Krishna was dressed in a glowing garments of yellow, Balarama in blue, and they had a new twigs of mango tree, peacock feathers, and bunches of flowers in their hands. Dressed with the garlands of lotus flower, they were sometimes singing very sweetly among their friends. One gopi told her friend, "How is it Krishna and Balrama are looking so beautiful?" Another gopi said, "My dear friend, we cannot even think of his bamboo flute. What sort of pious activities did it execute so that it is now enjoying the nectar of the lips of Krishna, which is actually the property of us gopis? Krishna sometimes kisses the gopis, therefore the transcendental nectar of his lips is available only to them." So the gopis ask, "How is it possible that the flute, which is nothing but a bamboo rod, is always engaged in enjoying the nectar from Krishna's lips?" Because the flute is engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord, the mother and the father of the flute must be happy.
Okay, so you can see how the meditation is deepening, is becoming more concentrated now. So they're starting with just the environment, and that is the perfection of the eyes, meditating on the environment. Then on samadhi, how they're focusing singly on Krishna and how he looks. And now their meditation is moving closer towards Krishna's lips, where he's playing the flute. So they're giving some descriptions of the flute now. Okay. Can anyone say what is it that they're glorifying about this flute? Is this flute just an ordinary bamboo rod that Krishna's playing?
No. I
Okay.
think Krishna's flute is, what do you call it? Is also like a person.
Okay, Prabhu.
It's not like a dead bamboo stick, It's got a life. That's why I'm saying person.
Yes. So someone might ask then, someone may ask devotees, how is it that it's just a piece of wood? How can it have life? How can we understand that?
Because the way it produces the vibration, live vibration.
Yeah. So this flute is living. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not just a dead stick, the flute, but it's actually living, and it has a role. The flute has a role to play in the pastimes of Krishna, just like the gopis, the gopas, the cows, and all the other residents of Vrindavan. Even the trees, the rivers, the mountains like Govardhan Hill and other places, they all have life, because this is a description of the transcendental spiritual world. And the key difference between the material world and the spiritual world is everything is conscious in the spiritual world. It's a world full of consciousness, full of life. Through and through, to the extent that even the flute, even this bamboo stick, has life, it has consciousness, it has personality, it has even parents, isn't it said here? That this flute, the mother and father of this flute must be so happy because their child is the one which is touching Krishna's lips. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the reason I say flute is all, Krishna's flute is also person.
Yeah. So even mama flute and papa flute.
Yeah.
are like, wow.
And from
our
that
little
flute,
one is there with Krishna.
From that flute is only transcendental vibration, coming out. It's not like a flute people are playing in a play, in filmy song and
Right. So this flute, the seva or the service, the devotional service of this flute is to enhance the sweetness of Krishna's, to enhance the sweetness of the nectar coming from Krishna's lips. Yeah. So even this flute has a service, it has a personality, it has a service which it likes to perform.
So flute is also servant of Krishna.
Yeah, and a very near and dear servant of Krishna.
Yeah, not ordinary.
Yeah. So even the gopis, they're giving gratitude and glory to this flute. Any other thoughts or comments here? Is anyone astounded or feeling
just had
despondent?
one comment.
Yeah.
I just had one comment. I can't remember whether I heard or read about it, that everything in Vrindavan is like in transcendental, like even the flowers, they offer themselves with their full heart to Krishna. Like when Krishna is going in the forest, all the trees, like they bend down, kind of to give pranam to Krishna. So it's just like everything, including ants and everything, is like in their transcendental form, but they're fully satisfied in whichever way they are. I mean, trees are really happy being trees to serve Krishna as a tree, and the cows are happy to serve Krishna as a cow. The good example is when Krishna was going to Mathura and how everybody felt the separation from Krishna, and how, like the trees and even the creatures felt the separation. So it just shows that everything in Krishna, Vrindavan, is spiritual rather than like you couldn't say, okay, tree is the matter or like that, you know.
Yeah, that's right. That's very key to understanding this this description. So this is some of the philosophical points which were covered. See, in the previous chapter, a lot of this philosophy is needed, because without understanding that Vrindavan is a spiritual place, these descriptions can just seem like fairy stories, and that's really not the case. So, so the descriptions are, those philosophical explanations are given first, which are very important to understand. Everything is alive and conscious in Vrindavan. Okay. So how are we just doing for time? Yep.
So with our material eyes, we cannot see Vrindavan as it is, but people who are self-realized, who the gurus who are one with Krishna, can they actually see the spiritual Vrindavan as opposed to the material Vrindavan that is seen by all of us?
Yeah, absolutely. Depends on the level of one's spiritual advancement, how much Krishna reveals. So there's a veil, there's like a veil over Vrindavan. It's described, the veil of Maya. Just like a curtain, Prabhupada says at the beginning of Krishna book. You know, like a curtain. If you open some of the curtain, then you can see outside. So Yoga Maya, her job is to keep that curtain there, and she can choose who she wants to let in to Vrindavan. Yeah. So someone who's very spiritually advanced, she can let them in, and they can see more of Vrindavan. And also, by the mercy of the devotees, we can see Vrindavan. So that Prabhupada has given this Krishna book to us so that we can see Vrindavan. Yeah. So we can even experience Vrindavan if we really fully take it to heart. And that's there for us.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, it's my realization is to see Vrindavan in the reality is to absorb fully in a Vrindavan mood.
Follow in the Vrindavan mood, did you say?
Yeah, if you not follow, to engage fully. I mean, Vrindavan mood.
To engage fully in the Vrindavan mood.
If you are fully absorbed in Vrindavan mood, then you see real Vrindavan.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So so maybe one way we can say that, if I can say in a different way, Prabhu, is like you have to be equipped. You know, if you want to be in Vrindavan, you have to be equipped to be in Vrindavan. You have to be in the mood. You have to have the right heart, this right state of heart. Just like if you want to go swimming deep in the ocean, you have to have all that equipment.
Yeah.
You can't just jump in the sea off the boat, you know. But you have to have all this goggles and breathing apparatus and, you know, wetsuit, right? So to be in that water environment, you need the equipment. And to be in Vrindavan, you need clean heart, pure heart. Pure heart is always in trance, in meditation on Krishna. Is that okay, Prabhu? Like something like that?
Yeah. No, yeah. And that's why I use the word fully, not like 50-50 and 60-40, you know.
Yeah.
Fully.
Yeah, very important point.
Very important, yeah.
You know, you wouldn't go deep sea diving without your flippers. So yeah. So just checking the time. There's a lot we can say actually about each of these paragraphs, and I was just skimming through on the surface a little bit, if I'm honest. But maybe if you want to take it a little bit deeper, what we can say is that these gopis have described that Krishna is like an actor. Yeah, that's come up a couple of times. Have you noticed? Yeah. So one reason that Acharya has explained this is because Krishna is playing the flute to enchant everybody who's watching and who's participating. But the gopis, in every one of these statements, as we're going to read on, there's like a double meaning to everything which they're saying. Okay. So on one level, they're saying how wonderful is it that this flute is, there with Krishna and his close companion, and how wonderful is it that Krishna is dressed so finely and he attracts everybody. But on another level, they're in a deeper level, they're actually saying that Krishna is acting. He's playing this flute just to enchant everybody, but really he's playing the flute for us. So he's only acting. So there's like a double meaning to everything that the gopis are saying, because they're whispering to one another, or they're speaking to one another from their homes, from one home to another home. And everybody is there present. So they don't want to reveal their heart, how much they love Krishna, to everybody, isn't it? So they're speaking in a contrary way. And they're glorifying all these different aspects, how Krishna is an actor. But there's another meaning that Krishna is actually just pretending to please everyone with the flute. Really, he's pleasing. He's calling us. Then they're saying how this flute is very fortunate, and the parents of the flute should be very proud that their child is close a companion to Krishna. So everyone thinks, oh, this is very wonderful how the gopis are describing Krishna. But on another level, on a deeper level, they're saying, how is it that, this flute could be so close to kissing Krishna's lips, that the parents of this flute gave their child to Krishna. In another way, they're saying, how unfortunate we are that our parents didn't give us to Krishna, that we could be with him and be close to his lips. So you see, everything they're saying is actually on a contrary level. As we read on, all of these descriptions will have a double meaning. So I just wanted to bring that out a little bit. So actually, this is a prayer, this is a meditation for them, because they're feeling like the greatness of everyone else is something which is lacking in them. But actually, at that same time, it's making their love for Krishna increase. It's making the desire for Krishna increase. And so that's what the embodiment of a gopi is. That's what it means to be a gopi, a lover of Krishna, in the form of a gopi. Okay. So we can read one more paragraph, I think. Is there any other readers? Sorry, I couldn't see the chat list.
It's your mum next.
Oh yeah, okay. Mom, do you want to read the next one?
Yeah. The lakes and the rivers are considered to be the mothers of the trees because the trees live simply by drinking water. So the waters of the lakes and rivers of Vrindavan were in a happy mood, full of blooming lotus flowers. Because the waters were thinking, how is it that our son, the bamboo rod, is enjoying the nectar of Krishna's lips? The bamboo trees standing at the banks of the rivers and lakes were also happy to see their descendants so engaged in service of the Lord. Just as persons who are advanced in the transcendental knowledge take pleasure in seeing their descendants engaged in the service of the Lord, the trees were overwhelmed with joy and were incessantly yielding honey, which flowed from the beehives hanging on their branches.
Right. So this comes back to what you were saying earlier, Mom, about how even the lakes and the rivers and the trees, everyone in Vrindavan is conscious, everyone has a personality, Everyone has emotion, loving emotion towards Krishna. Not actually in a sentimental way. Bhakti sometimes people think is very sentimental. You know, Gyan is the real thing, you know, real knowledge, and you know. So these are some of the thoughts that other transcendentalists have. But actually we know that this is beyond the transcendental knowledge. Just having knowledge alone, you know, is not satisfying to the heart. It's not complete. It's not the completely highest level of the yoga ladder, as I described earlier, because there's no engagement. There's no activity of just having gyan. There's no activity for the jnani. It's simply impersonal. The relationship with the absolute truth is impersonal in nature. It's just sustained on knowledge. Whereas going beyond that, further than that, even these trees and these rivers and these, you know, different wildlife, they're seen as being greater than the jnani because they have an active participation in Krishna's pastimes. Isn't that an amazing thing? I thought so. The first time that was explained to me, I was like, huh? So all these trees and all these different features of the wildlife, of the environment of Vrindavan, are spiritually more advanced, they're more superior than, you know, the jnanis and the yogis who are other levels of transcendence. Because they're all offering service to Krishna, all these features of the wildlife. And they're thinking that, you know, one of our people, you know, one of our family members, you know, one of the plant family members, the bamboo rod, has made it to Krishna's lips. And they're all in this overwhelming mood of joy. You know? Does that become apparent in this paragraph?
Yeah. Hare Krishna, how I understand, Krishna is only Purusha and all other moving and non-moving, they are all gopis in a different forms and serving the Supreme Lord.
Yes, so according to Tattva, there is one Purusha and everyone else is Prakriti. So yeah. Someone asked me that question a couple of weeks ago. I think it was Vimal. He said, do we accept that God is a male? What does it mean? That God is male. You know, is God not female? Or is God not male or female? What does it mean? So actually, probably you've answered that question also here. So what it means is Krishna is the enjoyer. So everyone here in this environment of Vrindavan is there to serve and please Krishna, either directly or indirectly. So here we see even the rivers, they're considering it a success. That they've nourished this bamboo tree, and one of the rods from that tree has become Krishna's flute. And so they've had their participation in giving Krishna some pleasure. And that's actually overwhelming them with happiness. This, you know, even indirectly serving Krishna is so pleasing.
And to learn from that, in this material world, everyone should engage serving the Lord.
Yeah, the residents of Vrindavan are perfect examples for us.
Yeah, that's example.
Yeah. Yeah, really. This is the important point. This is like the take-home message, isn't it, Prabhu? So these are all wonderful examples for us. Yeah. So their mood isn't that, you know, why that bamboo rod? Why that one became the flute? Why not, you know, why not some other bamboo rod? Or why couldn't I be a bamboo rod? You know, they didn't have that kind of mood. It wasn't selfish. They're all appreciating that Krishna has that particular flute. Or was that flute's destiny, you could say, or that flute deserved to be Krishna's flute? And that was the position of that flute. So no one was envious or jealous. So it says here, even the trees were overwhelmed with joy and were incessantly yielding honey, which flowed from the beehives hanging on their branches. So they're all just, overflowing with this happiness because of Krishna playing the flute. So we come to time now, and we'll, on that meditation, try and chant our japa,
Krishna Prabhuji,
Krishna book. So it's a very wonderful chapter we've begun. The gopis attracted by the flute. So we'll be reading this for the next couple of weeks. So please join in as we continue. If you have any feedback or comments, just let me know on how you think the sessions are going. It's always nice to hear from you all, even if it's something you wish to improve on or something you want to change about the meeting, or just if you like any particular aspects, then feel free to share. Always happy to hear from you. Have a happy Krishna conscious week ahead. Okay. Srila Prabhupada
Thank
ki
you.
jai.
Yay.
Hare Krishna,
Thank
everyone.
you. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.